The sun was just beginning to climb above the horizon, casting a harsh, golden glare across the training yard where the Marines had gathered. The sound of boots scraping against concrete and the occasional clang of metal filled the air. They stood in a loose semicircle, their bulky frames towering over the smaller figure in the center. At first glance, she looked unremarkable, a standard-issue Navy SEAL in fatigues, lean but not intimidating in size, her hair pulled tightly back, face calm and composed. Her presence drew curious glances, a few dismissive smirks, and the unmistakable arrogance that comes from assuming superiority. "This is going to be easy," one of the Marines muttered, cracking his knuckles and flexing for effect. They had seen many SEALs before, and in their eyes, a lone operative, especially one of her stature, was nothing more than a warm-up. But they were about to find out how wrong they were. Her posture was relaxed, almost casual, yet there was a sharpness to her movements that betrayed the years of discipline behind every action. Her eyes scanned the group, calm but alert, analyzing each Marine's stance, weight distribution, and muscle tension. She didn't speak. Her silence carried the weight of experience and confidence. The first Marine, a burly man with broad shoulders, stepped forward, trying to intimidate with his presence rather than his skill. He sneered, thinking to provoke her with words, but before he could act, she shifted her weight subtly, a small adjustment almost imperceptible to an untrained eye. In an instant, she moved. One fluid motion, a pivot of the hips, a precise placement of her foot, and a controlled strike with her palm, sent him sprawling across the ground. The sound of his body hitting the concrete echoed through the yard. For a moment, there was silence. The remaining Marines froze, disbelief flickering across their faces. Their arrogance, so solid moments ago, cracked under the realization that this was no ordinary SEAL. Then came the second attack. A Marine lunged at her with a wild swing, hoping sheer brute strength would overwhelm her. She sidestepped, her body flowing with the momentum of his charge. In a seamless motion, she executed a low sweep with her leg, bringing him down without breaking her rhythm. He hit the ground with a grunt, stunned and winded, unable to comprehend the speed and precision that had just taken him out. The other Marines hesitated now, instinctively stepping back, unsure of how to approach. She was everywhere at once, yet nowhere predictable. Each movement was deliberate, each strike calculated. A kick to the midsection, a sharp jab to the collarbone, a throw that sent another Marine sprawling. The techniques were unmistakably rooted in karate, a discipline honed over years of practice. Her SEAL training amplified it, adding tactical intelligence, situational awareness, and an uncanny ability to anticipate attacks. She flowed through the yard with an almost hypnotic rhythm, her actions controlled but overwhelmingly powerful. Even the Marines' combined size and strength could not match her agility, precision, or strategic mind. By the time she paused, 3 Marines were on the ground, gasping for air, their faces etched with shock and pain. The remaining men's expressions had changed from arrogance to fear, their earlier confidence shattered by the reality of her skill. They had assumed that numbers, muscle, and intimidation would carry the day, but every assumption had been turned against them. She had become a force they could not predict, a masterful blend of discipline, speed, and raw intelligence. Her breathing remained steady, even as adrenaline surged through the yard. Every movement of her chest, every blink of her eyes, conveyed the calm control of someone who had mastered both mind and body. The Marines who watched were left stunned, caught in the humbling truth that underestimating someone based on size, gender, or appearances was a fatal mistake. She was a SEAL, yes, but she was also a karate master, a combination that turned conventional tactics upside down. A hush fell over the yard as she surveyed the fallen men, her stance relaxed but ready, aware that the fight was far from over. The lesson had already been delivered. Never underestimate someone who trains with intention, who hones both body and mind, and who understands that true strength comes not from size, but from mastery, strategy, and precision. The Marines scrambled to regroup, their initial shock giving way to frustration and determination. They had faced tough opponents before, but never someone like her, someone who could turn their size and aggression against them with ease. The yard seemed smaller now, claustrophobic, as if her presence compressed space itself. Their confident shouts and taunts faltered, replaced by cautious murmurs and nervous glances. Each man instinctively calculated, trying to predict her next move, but she had already anticipated it. She moved with a rhythm that seemed to defy reaction time, her footwork precise, her body a living weapon honed by decades of rigorous discipline. One of the Marines, bigger and stronger than the rest, decided to take the lead. He charged, intending to overpower her with brute strength. But she was ready. With a subtle shift of weight, she absorbed his momentum, guiding it harmlessly aside, and executed a sweeping kick that sent him tumbling across the ground. His impact rattled the concrete, and the collective intake of breath from the others echoed through the yard. They realized that raw power alone would not save them. She was agile, methodical, and, most importantly, fearless. A second Marine attacked simultaneously, trying to flank her. She pivoted, spinning lightly on one foot, her hand striking his chest with pinpoint precision. He stumbled backward, crashing into a third Marine who had rushed forward without thinking. The chain reaction was almost theatrical, each movement controlled, each strike deliberate, each throw perfectly timed. The remaining Marines hesitated, uncertainty creeping into their minds. For the first time, they felt that this was no ordinary training scenario. This was a demonstration of lethal expertise, one that did not discriminate based on size or number. Her eyes scanned the yard constantly, analyzing every stance, every muscle tension, every hint of intent. There was no fear, no hesitation. Her mind moved faster than any of them could comprehend. As a Marine lunged at her from the side, she caught his arm mid-swing, twisted it sharply, and sent him sprawling with a precision throw that left no room for recovery. Before he could even rise, she was already repositioning herself, anticipating the next move. Each attack she countered was a lesson in discipline and control, each motion a testament to years of rigorous training in both SEAL tactics and martial arts. The remaining Marines, now visibly shaken, exchanged nervous glances. Their confidence was unraveling, replaced by the dawning realization that they were outmatched not just in technique but in strategy. One of them attempted a high kick, hoping to surprise her, but she ducked, pivoted, and with a swift sweep of her leg, knocked him off balance. The domino effect continued as he crashed into another Marine, sending both of them sprawling. Every move she made was economical, efficient, and devastatingly effective. She used their aggression against them, turning raw energy into a weapon she controlled with flawless precision. By now, 6 of the 8 Marines were on the ground, gasping, bruised, and humiliated. Only 2 remained standing, their faces pale with disbelief. Their minds raced as they tried to process what had just occurred. The yard, once a place where they felt invincible, had become an arena where skill and discipline reigned supreme. She moved like a shadow, her body a blur of controlled power. Her breathing remained steady, unhurried, each step measured. Despite the chaos around her, she maintained absolute composure. She didn't shout or boast. She didn't need to. Every movement conveyed authority and mastery. The Marines who remained were no longer confident, no longer arrogant. They were cautious, hesitant, and deeply aware of the mistake they had made by underestimating her. Even as they attempted to coordinate a group attack, she anticipated each maneuver, countering with minimal effort, each action precise, each strike leaving its mark. It was no longer just a fight, it was a masterclass in martial strategy, discipline, and control, one that left the onlookers stunned. By the end of the scene, the yard was littered with defeated Marines, bruised and exhausted, while she stood perfectly composed, surveying her surroundings with calm eyes. The lesson had been clear. Skill, strategy, and unwavering focus could overcome size, strength, and sheer numbers. She had not just survived, she had dominated, turning a group of confident, aggressive Marines into humbled students of her unmatched capability. The last 2 Marines stood frozen, their chests heaving, sweat dripping down their foreheads, their hands trembling slightly as they tried to mask their fear with forced aggression. They had seen their comrades fall one by one, each strike precise, each throw perfectly executed, yet still they hesitated. Pride battled survival instinct, and for the first time, they felt the heavy weight of underestimating someone they had assumed was weaker, smaller, less capable. She watched them calmly, eyes sharp and unblinking, reading every subtle cue, the tightening of a fist, the shift in weight, the micro-expressions of hesitation. Every moment she had spent preparing, training, and mastering her craft led her to this instant, and now, it was not just about skill, but about sending a clear, unshakable message. One of the Marines lunged, hoping brute force would break through her defenses. She shifted her weight ever so slightly, barely perceptible, and the man's momentum carried him past her harmlessly. Before he could recover, She pivoted, executing a flawless spinning kick that connected with his side, sending him crashing to the ground with a heavy thud. Pain contorted his face, and a groan escaped his lips as he tried to rise, only to realize he had been completely outmaneuvered. His partner, seeing this, hesitated even more, uncertainty replacing the bravado he had relied on moments earlier. She advanced slowly, deliberately, never rushing, but moving with the certainty of someone who knew victory was inevitable. Her stance was perfect, balanced, agile, ready to react in any direction. She didn't need to shout or threaten. Her presence alone communicated authority and mastery. The remaining Marine, now visibly panicked, attempted to charge simultaneously with a desperate lunge. She sidestepped gracefully, guiding his momentum into a low sweep that unbalanced him. As he fell, she intercepted his fall with a controlled elbow strike that sent him sprawling, stunned and breathless. In less than seconds, all 8 Marines lay incapacitated on the concrete, and the yard was filled with silence, broken only by ragged breathing and the distant wind whistling across the training ground. Her breathing was steady, controlled, her expression calm and collected. She glanced around at the men she had defeated, assessing each one to ensure none posed a hidden threat. Their earlier arrogance had evaporated completely, replaced by awe, shock, and respect. They had approached her expecting an easy challenge, confident in their numbers and strength, only to discover that neither muscle nor intimidation could counter years of disciplined training, precise technique, and strategic thinking. She had shown them that mastery of body and mind far outweighed raw aggression. A few Marines attempted to scramble to their feet, testing their limits, but she moved effortlessly, intercepting each action before it became a real threat. A swift palm strike here, a low sweep there, and their energy was redirected, leaving them exhausted and powerless. She didn't waste movements. Each motion was calculated, efficient, and devastatingly effective. The remaining men quickly realized that continuing to fight was not only futile, but dangerous. Their respect for her had transformed from grudging acknowledgement into a silent, almost reverent recognition of her skill. After the chaos subsided, she stepped back, surveying the scene. The yard, once filled with confident, aggressive Marines, now held only humbled, winded soldiers who stared at her as if seeing her for the first time. Every muscle in her body radiated readiness, yet she exuded calm authority. In that moment, the lesson was clear. Assumptions were dangerous, underestimation was fatal, and true power often lies hidden behind discipline, intelligence, and skill. She had not just defended herself. She had dominated, turned aggression into vulnerability, and proven the extraordinary capabilities that came from years of relentless dedication. The last Marine finally spoke, his voice trembling. We underestimated you, he admitted, eyes wide with disbelief. There was no mockery, no bravado, only acknowledgement of defeat and recognition of mastery. She nodded slightly, a quiet acknowledgement of the truth he had just voiced, then turned, walking away with measured steps, leaving the yard, and the humbled Marines, behind. Her presence lingered long after she left, a silent testament to the fact that appearances could be deceiving, that skill and intelligence could overpower size and arrogance, and that true mastery demanded both respect and careful attention. By the time she disappeared from view, the Marines had learned a lesson they would never forget. The name of this SEAL, once assumed to be just another operative, would now be spoken with awe and reverence. She had proven that real strength was not just physical, but a combination of mind, body, and indomitable will. Every Marine left the yard changed, their understanding of skill and power forever altered by the woman who had shown them that true mastery was far more than raw force. It was precision, control, and unshakable confidence.